you're joining me this morning. Thank you for accepting the invite. We are experimenting with these lives. And of course, you were the first ones that we thought about because you know how much I love your mission. Actually, I was with a girlfriend yesterday. She's my age. And we were having lunch and she said, I didn't know anything about perimenopause and now everyone is talking about it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess
right.
I have the first question. I mean, I don't want this to be a conversation, but I do have some question observation that I wanted to get your honest take. Do you think this all peri movement, like we are all hearing about it now because we are in age, or is because it didn't exist before and people are talking about it now? Like, what's your observation?
I mean, my take on is that it wasn't really talked about it in previous generations. They don't recall it, even if you were to straight up ask, like, how was your peri experience? Or like, what peri experience? What does it even mean? So I think that we're finally at a stage where we are noticing things and whoa, there is something like perimenopause. I think menopause is more understood than peri. So I think it's all coming out. Even menopause, I say, it wasn't really talked about from our, aunts and mothers' generations. But now I think we're in a very interesting time where information is king and we are just educating ourselves, and women are getting just smarter and smarter. And I think also it's not just about being smarter and getting all the intelligence, but we also speak up about it. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting because, I mean, my mom passed away. And so, part of my life is also how do I reconnect with all that I know about her and all of that. And I was thinking a couple of days ago, now that I'm mature, I'm 42, I'm like, now I know why my mom was having such a hard time when we were kids and all of that. And I kind of felt a little sad. And, I wrote her a little letter because I felt a little sad as I said, I wish I had more tools and more knowledge back then to support her, because I was 20 when she was going perimenopause. She had me that was 21. So I was already an adult. I could have had the conversation. And that really propelled me to have the conversation with my daughters now. So, we actively speak about our hormonal changes. We actively speak about our periods. And my daughter Lavinia, so funny, I said, I'm on my period. And she said, Mommy, I'm so sorry. Can I prepare you a cup of tea?
Oh.
So it's really about changing the narrative. And, what are your thoughts, Marina?
Yeah, I'm nodding with everything. I do believe, and I have the same experience. Like my mom, I was, an adult when my mom was going through perimenopause. And I do recall, just like things that, she would struggle with. And I don't think she acknowledges perimenopause as a thing. You, EJ, were saying this because it was just not talked about. So there's like no recollection or no connection to, just like to what your body was going through at the time, because it's been, just like however many, like 20 years ago or however long. So it's it's not it's not acknowledged probably by our mothers, but right now also there's something about like women being so stretched because they are not only in charge of the house and if they have kids, but many are working. So the amount of stress that's put in your body from an emotional and physical perspective, I do believe that also exacerbates the experience more. And not to say that there's also accountability in terms of the economic impact that this is having. So also I do believe that there's something around that financial quantification of the impact of perimenopause and menopause in the workforce and in the economy that has brought to to everyone's attention that this is something severe and that it needs to be acknowledged and cared for. So I do believe that there's just like a convergence of things that it's making that perimenopause and menopause are out there being discussed openly at the workplace, with our girlfriends, with our mothers, with our friends also. So it's definitely a really, really important time, and it's a good time just to be to be alive. At least we are going through it, and I do feel that we have more resources that women 5 or 10 years ago. So it's not that far, and it's really empowering to be just like going through it right now and being part of this.
Yeah, I want to welcome all the people that are listening today, and really invite everyone to leave comments and interactions. And if you have any questions also, I would love to take some questions and see where this is going. You said many things, Marina, that I want to follow up on, because it's freaking mind-blowing. And I know this live is about zeal and mental health, and how does that connect with perimenopause, because the two are extremely connected. I do say my story many times on how 4 years ago I started going through a very severe depression and anxiety that was really driving me crazy, and I don't know what's going on with me. I thought I was, I don't know, another person, because I never had those symptoms. And then eventually I started educating myself, and thanks to you, dear friends, I found out that probably I was going through perimenopause, the start of it. And it's funny, because when I bring the topic with my girlfriends, some of them, they react very defensively, and they say, oh, no, this is not about me, because they are thinking about the later stage. And I'm like, well, let me tell you some facts. And then when I share all the facts that you educated me on, they're like, oh, maybe it's happening. So I don't understand, why are we so ashamed about our bodies and our natural things? When we went to the event downtown that you invited me, which was an amazing event, where we spoke about sex, we spoke about pleasure, we spoke about things that are normal, like for everybody, they're normal for our bodies. And they said this interesting sentence that I want to repeat, and then I want to hear, EJ, what are your thoughts? They said, perimenopause and menopause is something irreversible, and is something that every woman in the world will go through. And so if you are a man that you're listening, you might have moms, you might have girlfriends, you might have wives, you might have sisters. So eventually this is not only a woman problem or a women issue in brackets. This should be universally something that everybody cares about, because if women are thriving and if we are doing well, society thrives. So EJ, what are your thoughts about this? I throw some bombs.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, I mean, that's really the inception of NABI. We felt that the women in Perry are the driving forces of this economy and the household, the community. I mean, women are the center of gravity, and women in this sort of cohort, right, like mid-30s to the early 50s, we're like, whoa, all the things that she's doing, all of us, I mean, we're in Perry. So we need to acknowledge that. We need to pronounce it. The reason why I think is shame could be a word, or it's something you just don't talk about for all these different other emotions. I think it's because it's a very private and personal. So when something, I mean, I think same can go with a period experience, same can go with finance experience. If you think about it, something so personal, private, people just don't really know how to talk about it, because we're never really coached or taught. If you think about it, when you first, like, you're adolescent, you get period, then you get that period talk, because we have to know certain things, right, to get through that cycle. But after that, you're on your own, right? Oh, you feel pain? Oh, heard that that's just painful, so it's kind of like understood. But there's a, if you really break down period, there's a different sort of severe like level of pain too, right? So now I think people are like, oh, I have PMDD, like PMS, how is it different? But there is difference, right? So I think we are being more granular in our experience by sharing. But like, that's my experience, but slightly different. Same thing with peri, I think. Perimenopause, there's no such thing as one peri experience, So I think what you're going through, Nadia, what I'm going through, similar, but also different, because of our life circumstances or who we are as people, our DNA, I mean, combination of everything. So I think it's something so private and personal. How do you start that conversation in a way that you feel comfortable, you feel secure, protected? I think that is something that we still have a lot of work to do to create that environment, so that people feel more comfortable to jumping in.
What I will say, and I agree with everything you said, especially even about finances, like people are always so nervous, talking about money or how much everyone makes. And I'm like, what are you nervous about? Like, seriously, like, what's the secret? And I think part of it is because if you make too little, you're afraid of being judged. If you make too much, you're afraid of being like, it's not much probably the theme in itself, but it's the judgment that
Yeah.
people have on others. Yet what happens is that you need just one flame. Like it's enough that one person opens the Pandora's box and starts talking about it that everyone follows. And I mean, you know me, I'm a little, I say what I think, even though I'm always very respectful about politics and relationships and all of that. But very much I speak in my mind. I have nothing to lose, and I believe I'm a trailblazer and a game changer and all of that. Every time I bring one of these very spicy subjects, sex, money, Perry, whatever it is, I give permission to people to open up and talking about it, and they love it. Can you imagine how many people are always saying, oh my God, what you said? You remember I was at Ad Week and I spoke about all the challenges in the workplace with our female challenges. And I got thousands of messages from people saying, thank goodness you're speaking up. So I get it, but wouldn't it be easier if we were all speaking up together and doing something about it and giving tips? So I don't know. I don't think we should be so ashamed or judgmental about it. It's normal. It's our nature.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's something about, and you bring up a topic, and you were asking why people don't talk enough about perimenopause and menopause. There's something that's connected to ageism, to being older, to being judged for being older. And when you're connecting that to, perimenopause and menopause, which are life events that are connected to symptoms that are many times debilitating, there is research, which I don't recall the numbers, but where women do feel that they are seen as less effective in the workplace, less capable, because they're going through this transition, and they don't want to be in that position where they are passed for a promotion or they are overseen by other merits that they bring to the table because they are coming out as perimenopausal and menopausal. I'm saying coming out because it feels a little bit like that. At least my experience has been, okay, I'm wearing the perimenopause, t-shirt saying I'm in it. And it is, a very vulnerable place to be, because you do feel this as coming out as, okay, I'm saying that I'm here, and that comes with a bit of a baggage, and you feel that you might be judged for that. And more so in, I'm thinking it more in the workspace.
Workplace, yeah, is tougher. Yeah, actually, we have a good friend. She is actually one of our NNABI insiders, and she used to work in financial services and investment community. And she compete with all type A, majority men. And she did tell us that I'm having all these symptoms, but I'm not going to go to my boss, who's men as well, and say, hey, I'm having one of these days because I'm in peri. No, that's not going to happen. So I think the workplace, frankly, I do think there's still a lot of a long way to go. I think that what we see is that more communities within our personal and a small kind of community of people who trust, like, we're creating our community with people that we trust, so that we can start kind of at least create an outlet for women like us to start talking about it. I mean, for me, it took me a while to like understand, okay, going out there talking about peri all the time, what does that mean? But I think there is a moment once you like embrace it, that's you, and that's so powerful. And who's going to question that that's just what you're going through? And there's something so exciting about it, actually. But I think that it's also we as people going through it have to be the one confidently talk about how we are, we have this saying like superbly proudly Peri, and being able to really own that essence and then show, look at all of us, like what we're doing, how we're contributing in our household and community and businesses. Look at us. Like, I mean, that's what you
Yeah.
see is Peri. So that's also busting the myth of like what Peri looks like, because I had a conversation with somebody at like 38 yesterday, and she's like, what is Peri? Kind of like, she had no idea. So I was educating her, and she goes, oh, so I'm probably in it. But she had no idea. So kind of talked about it as like a illness or disease. And I said, it is not a disease. It's not an illness. It's something that we all go through. You're probably in it. So I think it's just something that actually we all in it. There's no exception. I mean, so how do we talk about it as a thing that we go through, just like puberty? This is actually
Yeah.
often called second puberty, by the way, perimenopause.
I like it that you are putting in next to puberty as well. It's just a life stage, and we do have the responsibility to do it, because if we don't speak about it, who's going to speak about it? And the mass media have such an impact. Mass media, social media, it's very powerful. Now, I will say, when we were at that event again with Thompson Fadal, that she was speaking about the documentary that she launched and everything, the stats around investment and the stats around medical support and how expensive it is. I mean, when they were talking about the estrogen creams and also testosterone, it was mind blowing. Personally, I didn't know any of that. And I believe I'm fairly educated and I love it on the subject. So imagine how much work it is to do. But anyway, I don't want to paint a dark picture of all of this, because I think, again, as Marina was saying, we are so lucky to be in it. And I see my cousin is here. Hi, Shaila. I will say that actually my aunt, which is my mom's sister, she was talking to us about our periods when we were very young already. So in a way, she was already progressive then. She's in her 70s now, and she always was talking about the changes that on a monthly basis she was going through. I want to spend some time talking about strategies to mitigate some of the effects, because we spoke a lot about how there's not much information and everything, but thankfully you guys are trailblazing and you are sharing so much for it. A lot is about mitigating the effects and finding strategies to deal with it. Because as we said, it's inevitable. We're going to all through it. And so let's talk about, what are your advice for not only mental health? I want to talk about also what can be done from the inside. We know that all of this is hormonal. We know that food has a high impact, sports. What are your top 3 strategies that you would tell our listeners to use when they're going through this life phase?
Yeah, we can. There's many things. I would say the first thing is education. Just like getting educated about what perimenopause is and what it means to be in perimenopause. So that would be the first thing. And perimenopause, for the women or people listening here, is the time that comes before menopause. So it's a transitional time, and it can, and menopause is when you go 12 consecutive months without getting your period. So the time that comes before menopause, it's called perimenopause, and it can last 10 years or more. It can last less. But we know that it can start as early as 35. So that's way younger that we, all women, expect, or were, educated to expect anything that's connected to menopause. So really educating yourself about what it is and symptoms, and understanding that symptoms in perimenopause are more psychological than physical. So when we talk about perimenopause, it's hot flashes, it's night sweats, and those happen, and those tend to happen many times when you're closer to menopause. But you start having sleep issues, or feeling more anxious or more nervous than you used to be or you've ever felt, or having these mental lagoons and forgetting things and having brain fog. So there's a lot of symptoms that are happening that are not in our, educationally, we have not been educated to think of those as connected to hormones. And hormones fluctuate so widely during this time and, throughout years of our lives in perimenopause. And there's so many symptoms, and you might have symptoms now, and then 2 months later, you don't experience those as much, but you start experiencing joint pain or dry skin or, dry eyes, itchy ears. Like there's like really over 30 documented symptoms, but there's even more. Vertigo. So there's a lot of things. Itchy skin.
Ears? I never thought it.
Yeah.
What do you mean itchy ears?
You have itchy ears. Like literally your ears itch.
Inside,
like, inside, outside, yes.
Now I know why I'm getting this. I'm having so much itchy ears. I didn't know about it. That's crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Woo.
So those things are connected to hormonal fluctuations, and it's mainly estrogen and progesterone, and low libido, and you might not be feeling just like as frisky as you were before. And so there's a lot of things that are connected to hormones that we have no idea. So really starting there and just tracking your symptoms and understanding what you're experiencing, because those things can be connected to perimenopause. It's not the only thing, of course.
Gone are the days of everyday sex. Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Every day, Nadia.
No, I know that there are strategies. I was talking to a girlfriend that she was telling me all about testosterone. We will do another live about the topic of sex in our life stage, because I want to talk about it more. I'll follow up.
We'll take we'll take you on that. But yes, just like starting. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I love the strategies that you said, and I mean, listing the symptoms. I know they're on your website. Everybody, go check the girl's website, NNABILife.com, because I love that you have a quiz that everybody can take to understand if they're perimenopausal or not. Again, this starts at 38. Also, can it start earlier. Like 35?
It can,
depending on your body.
Yeah.
But we said generally mid-30s, but it can be, we met somebody who's a 33, and then she said she was in Paris. So, it could be anywhere, but we're just generally talking about mid-30s, but it could be early 30s too. So again, your body is not the same as everyone else. So really understanding the symptoms is very much a symptom-led thing. So please just check it out and learn the symptoms first, and then also check your body against those list of symptoms. Our quiz is set up so that it's not really like there's no diagnosing. It's not an illness, ladies. So you just go there and be like, oh, these are all the possible symptoms that I could have because I'm in peri. That's what we really want that quiz to do for you, the education.
Yeah.
For me, I will say that learning that what I was going through and what I go through every day gave me reasons to love myself more. Because when I was experiencing the symptoms, especially the anxiety, and I mean, still now, today, I'm happy and I'm zealous and all of that, but my period is going to be just finished. So hit me up in 2 weeks from now and we'll see how my mood will change. But knowing that this was associated with a life transition that I was going through really helped me control your thoughts. So the reason why I am very passionate about this work is not only because of the health, like physical health related, but because by knowing in it and by managing it, you are able to have a better handle of your thinking and your thoughts. And I mean, you know what I preach, your thoughts make your reality. If you're always in a negative spiral that maybe is caused by hormones and is caused by a life stage, it's a self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah.
And so by identifying ways to actually lift your spirit, lift your mood, and taking some supplements also. You gotta take supplements, everybody. We can't wait for this to magically disappear. I take your supplement, I take CBD, I take whatever I need to take to feel better, because when you are in a miserable mental state and you just want to crawl in your bed and be home and don't interact with others, nothing is good is
Yeah.
gonna get out of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Totally.
it is, and you're bringing something that it's, like very important, and it's at the crux of the perimenopausal experience. It's a very vulnerable time for women. There are a lot of things that come to the surface, and it's the symptoms, but then also there is this mental health vulnerability that's happening, and then it's affecting your joy, your happiness experience. And it's really important to acknowledge that, to give yourself grace, and to look inside and become more attuned with yourself. This can be a very terrible experience, or it can be an opportunity to look inside. And I'm thinking about looking inside from a mental health perspective, psychological perspective, physical perspective. Understand what those symptoms are, really understand how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and do things about that. So there's you were asking about tips, like really getting, tuning in your symptoms, understanding what you're feeling, and then doing things about it. So sleep, you cannot compromise sleep. You need to sleep. It's so critical. There's research that has been done now with women that shows that women need more hours of sleep than men. So it was said before that, men and women need 7-8 hours of sleep. Well, it looks that women need more hours, so between 7 and 9. So it's just more time to recover, because sleep depletion affects your hormones, and affects also your overall state of alertness and energy. So it's really important to get sleep during this time. So sleep hygiene, going to bed, sleeping 7, 8, 9 hours if you can. I have 2 kids, so I never get a full night's sleep, but it's really, really critical. So that's, I'd say, the second thing that you need to, like really be aware of. And then also nutrition. You were talking about supplements. Our supplements are important. So, Peressential 5, which is an amazing foundation for perimenopause. There's magnesium, there's vitamin D and K2, there's omega-3. So there's different things that you can take and incorporate, depending, of course, you need to check with your doctor. But then also nutrition, and incorporating foods that are healthy for your body, and you're eating proteins, and you're eating veggies, and you're eating, the different colors, and not eating processed foods, trying to cut back on the alcohol intake, and, drink less, and drink, don't drink if you can. So those are things, what you're putting in your body, it's really, really important as well. And the last one that I say, because there's a lot of things, and I'm already on the third, but the moving your body. So walking, doing some kind of exercise, and you don't need to be doing, like hardcore, working out like 1 hour a day. It's good if you've done that, so, up until now, and, you're that person, but don't start doing that right now. Just like walking, yoga, Pilates, stretching, doing light exercise. It's, also helpful. And just, that helps your mind and also your body, just, keeping muscle, building muscle, and lifting, if that's something that you can do. But yeah, definitely exercise. And there's a lot more things that you can do, but I'll keep it there and I'll shut up.
And since Marina talked
No,
about
your
what to
voice.
do, but since Marina talks about what to do, let me talk about flip it, what not to do during this peri stage. One,
Yes, I want to hear that. What not to do.
The things that we used to do in our 20s and even the early 30s will not gonna serve you through late 30s and 40s period. So you got to change your strategy. So talking about strategy, you got to change. It's no exception. What used to work for you in all these different lifestyles and everything will not work for you. So like accept that. And second, do talk about these things. I think because sometimes the people are, again, for all the reasons that we talked about in an earlier conversation, yes, it's not the most comfortable sometimes, and we're not really born to just talk about some of these vulnerable things. But I think define your cohort and your tribe and get in and start talking about it. You'll be surprised how many of others, even with your close friends circle, are dealing with the same thing, and it just be like, whoa, I'm not the only one. That alone is actually quite relieving, knowing that you're not alone. And third, so even just talking about like doctors, we know that doctors are not always equipped in this department of perimenopause, menopause, because they do not learn this in a med school. So just because this doctor have seen you since your, teens and tweens years, have delivered your baby, may not be your best friend for when you go through peri. So breaking up with your doctor does happen. It's okay. It's not the most comfortable, I know, but it's okay that you may have to seek other help there who can really help you. So also, when we talk about depression, like feeling like we're feeling off and like what am I doing with my life? A lot of these things happen. Don't blame yourself. This is a signal just to say, whoa, time to, pivot, time to reflect and find another strategy. During this peri stage, I think a lot of career questions, kind of like, what do I do? I have this like 20 years of experience of doing all these things. Now what? Now it's not aligned with my purpose. So a lot of career conversation. This is my life. I'm married to this person for all these years. Like, what is next? Like, there's a relationship, friendship. Some of these people that I used to hang out with are not serving my purpose for some reason. And what is happening? A lot of breakups are happening, but it's not all bad. And I think that's the thing. It's not a crisis. It's not a time of crisis, but it's more like help us clean up, kind of like a spring cleaning. Like we all need that in our lives. So take it as an opportunity to say, oh, this is an opportunity for us to, meet new people, open for some new things that we're not, we've been just too busy, just doing everything in our own as we know it. But, this is a time, I think, it's really could be exciting for you, use it, right?
Yeah.
So I said, just don't stay with what you know.
Yeah.
Don't stay with like the same old. Might be the time for you to change and flip your narrative and therefore strategy. So wanted to just show you also like what not to do.
Yeah.
Since Marina said all the what to do
Yeah.
combination. Hopefully you have a
I
guide.
no, I love everything that you said for many reasons, because again, I went through it all and I've experienced it in my skin. And what I'm gonna add is, which I think you know what I'm gonna add, but it's really about doing all the things that you said and don't do the ones that you said with some grace and some compassion. Because I've got to tell you, I used to sleep 5 hours per night and I was fabulous. I was every freaking day, every week on a plane. I was walking in my fancy Louboutins. Everyone listening this remembers. And I didn't have any pain. I was eating and drinking every night. I was working out every day. I was freaking fantastic. And adjusting to this new lifestyle took me a couple of years. I started feeling my self-esteem cracking. And, even now I have days that I show up in the office with my sneakers and some people make a joke. They're like, where are your Louboutins? And I'm like, yeah, they're still there. I have probably $20,000 in shoes. But if I need to wear them, I need to be on a cab ride, go to the restaurant and come back home.
That's
Whereas
right.
earlier I was wearing them for an entire day. So I took a hit. I was like, wow, am I the same person? Like what the F is going on? And you don't feel sexy, you don't feel attractive anymore. Will that have an impact on my business, my clients, my husband, whatever, right? But then when you start seeing yourself, and this is where the zeal come in, when you start seeing yourself with that genuine and unconditional love and value and worth, you are not the shoes, you're not the whatever, even though those are all fine. I mean, you know that I love fashion anyways, regardless, right? I wear sparkles with my gym outfit. But it's not that. It's that genuine love that you have inside your body that will help you go through also these moments, and repeating affirmations to yourself like, I am changing and that's okay. I am evolving and that's okay. And I know that Nabi, your logo is this butterfly, this meaning of this butterfly, and that's okay. So I would encourage everyone to visit all of our website, go to Nabi's website and take the test. And if you feel cold, go to Spark Your Zeal and get your zeal letter so you can really reconnect with your inner and intimate self, because either you're a man, either you're a woman, you are and you will be exposed to this content.
Yeah.
And the more we all elevate our understanding of it, the more we can help society and we can raise our collective vibrations for a better life stage for all. So
yeah, and I want to add, Nadia, what you were saying, because, and this is my experience with Spark Your Zeal and the Zeal letter, and I do, as I was saying before, this is such a vulnerable time for women, and a time where you're, going through things, and there is a time where you need to stop and recalibrate. That you can do that on your own, or life will stop you and force you to look inside. So it could happen different ways, but it will happen. And I do think that, and this is the way that I used the Zeal letter. It came to me at a time where I was just like asking questions, and I did feel that it was, for me, it was so easy because it was already, putting those questions in. I have both. I have the print and I have the digital version, but the first time that I came across it, it was the print, the booklet. And it was great because it already had those questions and those themes that are sometimes hard to articulate, within yourself. Just you're feeling things, but you cannot put them in words. So I found that having those questions asked, having those tasks in the booklet, and just like really having the time to stop and say like, oh, how would I, say something nice to myself, or what do I want to, enjoy more in my life, just really, really trying to tune into what you really want, no matter, what other ones are thinking, what other ones need around you, but it's just like you. And I did feel it was immensely helpful to, just like help me ask some questions, some hard questions, and force me to think about them, and answer them. So I did find it really helpful. And I do feel that perimenopause is this transitional time where you need to, answer those questions, when you need to think about those things that you have in that Zeal letter.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the sorry. I think about the Spark Your Zeal is like a fuel, because if we are a car, right, we put gas in there, or if you charge it to go. And I think Perry is the time when it was pronounced how sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I really am running on an empty tank. It's not possible. You can't, there's no way that good thought, creative thought, love, all of this could come out, right? So meaning, people say they usually say this to caregivers, you got to fill your vase first to be able to pour that water, right? And I think Perry is that time too. You have so many different things you are responsible for, and it's natural for all of us to put others, but then eventually we're the one who has to be, be well, be healthy first to be able to give. And I know that what I'm saying is not anything like earth shattering, but it's so easy to dismiss because it's us, right? So this, I think, by having a community like this too, to remind, like, it starts with you. It all starts with you. And for me, grew up in more of the sort of a family where do better, do better, do better. So I think that's kind of like a bit more of that pressure that I have. But then also kind of manifesting, that's like, from a culturally speaking, it was felt like it sounded a bit like BS growing up, to be honest, right? But then the more I meet powerful women and like you all, and kind of just living in the States for a while, I think I've also been like, this manifestation is real. Like, this is you really putting it out there. So it's not like put your heads down, do work hard, like hard work, will pay off. It's more like you really do need to have that vision. And I think I've been practicing that for quite some time, and really being able to put it out there, and that really registers with your brain, and then you behave certain way. all of that, when it sync, I do feel like Perry is also the time when everything could sync, your vision, your act, and your resources and all of that. So it could be a really amazing time. And I'm excited for what, meeting Spark Your Zeal, and also kind of the personal and the professional ambition that I have. It's all kind of coming together, and we all need fuel. Like, we all human. So without the fuel, so I guess the question is, what is your fuel? How do you find them, right? Let's all seek for
I
it.
love it.
And then you help
I
me,
love
Nadia,
it.
to remind what those things are. And I think we all do that to each other. So I guess that's the thing I told you during Perry. Sometimes the friendships break up. That friendship that you had, of course, I have friends I've known it like 20, 30 years. Then there are people who are like in and out, right? I do think that the thinking about who really inspires you, who really wants you to be the best, better version. And I think those are the people that you stick with and you spend time with. And I think that's what we all want to do for each other. I want you to be successful. You want me to be successful. We all want to do that to each other. That's the kind of community that you want, you know? So why not? Like, let's kind of get up and try to create that positive energy. And that's the vibration that you're talking about, Nadia.
Oh my God. I can't believe we didn't even prep this. So this is coming from our hearts and our fire. Ladies, I love you so much. I told you that I need Nabi to be at least for the next 20 years. So it's like my staple, and I'm just so grateful. I mean, both of you really changed my life, and you really helped me go through these moments, and I'm really excited for what next we're going to be doing. And so, for everybody that joined us today, thank you for being here. Thank you for collectively and actively thinking about these subjects, mental health, physical health, especially for women through perimenopause and menopause. It's something very important. We need fuel, we need zeal. We need to be encouraging each other. And so your actions from today's live are go to nabilife.com, take your quiz, goes to Spark Your Zeal, join our movement, and we will see you in the next live. Thank you, Maureen and
Thank you,
EJ. I love
Nadia.
you.
Love you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Happy weekend.
You
You too.
too.
Thank you.